Joining us now, former Treasury Secretary Jack Lew, who also served as budget director under both Presidents Obama and Clinton. A lot to get to you about, Jack. But first, weigh in on this and these districts that everyone thought, oh, my gosh, for sure they will turn against Trump. They did not. Where's the disconnect? Where's the work that Democrats need to do? What is it?
Good morning, Mika. Good to be with you. I think the election was a clear win for Vice President and President-elect Joe Biden, and a clear message that we need to make government work again. I think that right now is the measure of whether or not Congress got the message. Will they respond during the weeks that remain this year and provide additional relief to Americans who are still hurting from the COVID crisis? Millions of Americans who could lose their homes to eviction, millions of Americans who don't have food to put on the table. I think the way to reach those Americans who want their government to work is to make it work again. And I think the economic team that President-elect Biden has named has exactly the background and the experience and the skills to get that done.
Secretary Lew, it's Willie Geist. Good to have you with us this morning. Let's talk about this massive job that economic team has in front of it. Janet Yellen will be the nominee for your old position as Treasury Secretary. But more broadly, when you look at early talks now, apparently in Congress, a group of bipartisan senators getting together for some COVID relief, what are the early steps that need to happen to, obviously this is a joint crisis right now, the health crisis leading to an economic crisis. They can't be treated separately. So what does the economic team need to do on day one to begin to tamp down this terrible economic waterfall of problems?
Well, Willie, I think that this economic team brings the most impressive background in terms of expertise and experience and knowledge of how to get things done. It's a group of people who understand from their lives' experience what it means for government to work or not work. You know, whether it's Janet Yellen, who's world respected for her knowledge of economics and monetary policy, who grew up in Brooklyn, understanding how working people struggle. You know, Wally Adeyemo, her deputy designate, who was one of my most trusted advisors, who came to this country as an immigrant from Nigeria and worked his way up through UCLA to make it to the highest levels of government at a very young age. To CeCe Rouse, who is a renowned labor economist and always brought an enormous amount of understanding and empathy to all of the policy discussions. This is an extraordinary team, uniform in background in terms of expertise, but diverse, representing the broad country that has to come together. I think it's an outstanding team.
So it's an outstanding team. We see the lineup there in front of us, and we're showing some of the images there. But what do they need to do with a Congress? Let's say it remains in the hands, the Senate, of Republicans, and Mitch McConnell is the majority leader. They haven't gotten anywhere over the last 6 months in terms of getting economic relief to people, a new tranche of it anyway. So what needs to happen on day one? How can this group of advisors that you just laid out work with a Congress that hasn't shown a willingness to get much done for people whose businesses are closing and whose lives have been turned upside down?
So, Willie, the test is going to be, can they convince senators one at a time that the time for action is now? I think the bar is too high. If the question is, can any one of them, dislodge Mitch McConnell from a position that he's made for political reasons? What they're going to need to do is what they're all very good at. I mean, Janet Yellen is superb at communicating, explaining, helping senators who should understand the urgency of the moment to see what they need to do. This is going to be hard, no doubt about it. President-elect Biden comes in with a relationship with Senator McConnell. I sat in negotiations with them many times. I know that they know how to work together. I have absolute confidence that President-elect Biden wants to get something done. And he has a team of experts who are pragmatic about finding those places. Dislodging the immovable object will be hard. I don't contest that. But this is a team that can do it if it can be done.
Secretary Lew, Gene Robinson's here with a question for you. Gene?
So, Jack, you know that since a Democrat has now been elected president, Republicans are going to rediscover the deficit and say, "Oh, horror of horrors, we're spending too much money." This at a time when we should be pumping money into the economy to support small businesses and individuals through this awful COVID period. How much money should we be spending now, and how should the Biden team get around this inevitable shift of McConnell and the Republicans to being, once again, deficit hawks?
Gene, the richness of the irony here is just staggering. Just a few years ago, these same Republicans couldn't care less about the cost of a tax cut that was irresponsible and that added $2 trillion to the deficit. That was the time to worry about what was the fiscal projection because the economy was healthy. Today is not the time. Today, we have an economy that is only going to come back when we get beyond the health crisis. We need more federal support to deal with the health crisis. And we're not going to be able to see a full recovery of the economy if we see millions of people evicted from their homes, if we see small businesses shutter up permanently. There is an urgent need now for more assistance. There will be a time to have that debate. It is not now.
Thanks for checking out MSNBC on YouTube, and make sure you subscribe to stay up to date on the day's biggest stories. And you can click on any of the videos around us to watch more from Morning Joe and MSNBC. Thanks so much for watching.